Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Very Sky Ridley's video blog. I'm Krabby McCoffee, also known as Rita. For you new subscribers or new tuner-ins, please hit the like, subscribe, and thumbs up button. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. For the rest of you comer backers, welcome back. This is Coffee Time with Rita. Now, after getting some intel, the reason I did a short video was because I was too busy trying to get through on Discord. Discord's a thing where we talk to other moderators. I have a moderators only channel, and it's all voice, so it's cheaper and easier to do. Of course, I gotta thank Higgins for being a smartass again. He sent me this picture. I should share it with you guys. It's basically me bending over and a flower coming out of my ass. Yeah, that's how much humor Higgins has got. A flower came out of my ass. I'm going to say he's a smart ass there. Okay, so since I'm here, you guys got to realize I am not making sure any of you see my underwear or what underwear I have. Okay, Higgins is being a smartass. So for some of you out there, this topic is about prepping for possible nuclear war. Yeah. So Putin basically came about and was talking about how he's not going to be delivering tanks. He's going to be something more stronger than tanks. Sounds like he's basically turning around, right? And he says, we're not going to be using tanks. We're going to be using something stronger. Sounds like when you walk into a bar and they say, would you like a drink? And you say, yeah. And then they say, okay. Or you walk in there and they say, oh, you look like hell. And you say, yeah. And then all of a sudden they're like, what would you like? And they say, give me something strong. Well, Putin's trying to be this macho man, and he's trying to literally say, give me a drink. And what happens? Well, currently, this is the crap that's coming down the pipe, people. Literally. He said the West might use tanks and send tanks and deliver tanks, but what we got in store is going to be stronger than tanks. Think about it. So, I was just reading an article, right? So, remember I told you earlier to prep like you have a pair, and I told you also to prep when it comes to other information. So, for example, I was reading an article earlier today about what's this? So, anyways, it says Russia's planning to mobilize up to 500,000 extra soldiers. You see, this is the thing that we need to talk about. When 500,000 more soldiers get killed by Russia, Putin's not going to be happy as people. By the way, what's the Russian population, anyways? Do we even know it? Hold on a sec. Russian population is 143 million. Okay, so he's got 143 million Russians. So he's going to be pulling in 500,000 Russians to go fight for him. When that doesn't work, he's going to try to conscript anyone else he can. Eventually, it's going to be old women and old ladies only there. Oh. So, the United Nations says Antonio Guterres, the head of the UN, struck a somber tone as he warned leaders convened in New York at an organized General Assembly the world is now only marching into a wider war. Yeah, think about this, a wider war. I mean, a lot of European nations, a lot of company are using, giving Ukraine stuff, right? Stuff. Now, if you remember, the United States is not getting into the war yet. They're just donating. Fortunately, eventually, if the U.S. was attacked, like the sleeping giant, like in World War II, we would, have a problem. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is inflicting untold suffering on the Ukrainian people with profound global implications. The prospects for peace keeps diminishing. He said the chance of further escalation and bloodshed keeps growing. I fear the world is not sleepwalking into a wider war. I fear it's doing so with its eyes wide open. Yeah. You see what it means? It means right there what you need to know. Anyways. And then I saw another story that came out that was really interesting today when it came to the Ukrainian war. See, Ukrainian military to start training on leopards. You see, right now Putin apparently is more worried about the leopard tanks than he is about the M1 Abrams, because leopard tanks, he said they're sending leopard tanks. They didn't say anything about Challenger 2 tanks. So, one of the things that I thought was really interesting in today's news was there was an article, and it had to talk about Ukraine, and basically it said that Russia is planning a bigger attack than the world's ever known, pretty much. But I do want to say that it is very scary due to the fact that it could be scary for us all due to the fact that the people need to realize. Let me see if I can find that article. Yeah. Because it was a very interesting article where it's talking about, what's going to happen in the future. So basically, it was an article, like I said, talking about how Russia was planning to do massive strikes before tanks get delivered. So you got to think about it. If the tanks and right now Russia needs to mobilize this many people to secure. See, what Russia, I think, tactically is doing is if they can go in and march across Ukraine and take care of this problem now, then by the time the tanks are getting ready to be delivered, it's all over, because he doesn't want those tanks in Ukraine. Plus the fact that he knows Patriot missile systems are going to be delivered soon, with Ukrainians who's being trained on these Patriot missile systems in Oklahoma. So they're being trained in Oklahoma for these Patriot missile systems, and yet the American people need to realize that you got to look at it from a bigger picture, a bigger point of view. The American people are not dumb, but at the same time, this is just trying to So basically, the American people need to realize that what's going to happen in the world is that we have to prepare for this possible nuclear war, because Putin literally stated that he was going to do something more damaging than use tanks. He said in another subliminal message the other day, he said, and I quote, he thinks so basically he said in one of his speeches that tanks can easily burn. So those are two messages you got to look at. One message is, by the way, school's in session. One message is, I'm trying to find something real quick. I thought there was more than one. It said two. Yeah, it came up the other day, and I was like, okay. Some of you preppers need to realize. Here we go. Okay, so it's the same one. So they emailed me again, being like, your books are in stock. So the library basically sent us some books. So one of the prepping tools I use is checking out library books. So I got some books coming. I got 13 other books to look over. If this doesn't work properly, I'm not going to be happy, because frankly, I'm going to be thinking it's a waste of money. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to look it over tonight. So for some of you preppers out there, okay, some of you preppers, you need to realize that this is going to get bad. So I want you to hear me carefully. Get some potassium iodide tablets. Get plenty of water and hunker down. Make sure you have a safe area where you can go. A basement is preferable. If you're not on a basement, find a basement. The second thing you need to realize is, if you're going somewhere, let me tell you guys a story, okay? Mama Fanny, who I love dearly, by the way, she's awesome. Probably has a bunker where she's at because she's with the Air Force, or her husband is. So she's got that. I have this. Therefore, the problem we have is what to do. And because of it, you guys got to realize that you need potassium iodide tablets, plenty of water, and as much food as you can. Now, there's going to be some problems. First of all, when you look at nuclear war, you need to make sure that two things happen wherever you live. One, you need to make sure you can seal up. I repeat, seal up. Because they don't tell you what to do. You need to basically seal up your vents. Your bathroom vent and your hood vent. If those are your only vents in your home, you need to seal them up and make sure to leave them sealed. Once you do, you can turn around and basically be safe. So you have to make sure to get it all in order. So that's something you need to prep for. Secondly is, if you know you're going to be stuck in your home for weeks on end, you need to make sure you have the necessary stuff. Now, a lot of you out there have never thought of what happens during a nuclear war, and Mama Pee-wee sent me some info the other day. I watched everything she sent me, even though that one guy was bloody hilarious the other night. I don't like him, but he was pretty damn funny. But anyways, truth to be told, you have to make sure your house is completely, you don't have contaminates, and you got to make sure nothing gets into your through your system, because there's a lot of problems coming into whatever. And so a lot of people need to realize, if you're going to be prepping for nuclear war, you need your potassium iodide tablets, you need your bottled water, and you need your food. But a lot of people say, it's a good idea, but the hood vent thing. Well, I got a couple of emails on the hood vent, and the bathroom vent. You got to seal them up. And then if you do survive, then you need to basically spend some money. In the preppers list, Higgins and I have been looking at putting in the preppers list. Literally, he's got to have to choose it. That's why he gets paid for making the right decisions. But you need a nuclear detector or a radiation detector. They're on Amazon. They're about $150, $200. Handheld, that will tell you if there is radiation in your area and how much radiation it is. X amount per rats. So as you know it and you look at it, it is like, so that is one thing. The second thing is you need a radiation detector. There's no ifs, ands about it. The third thing is in a nuclear problem, you will need to look into the laws governing certain issues. GMRS radio, CB radio, scanners will come in handy. That'll give you some crosstalk. So let me tell you why a scanner comes in handy, Higgins. See, he had to come in here just to basically be like, look at me, look at me. No, you're not the teacher's favorite, sorry to say. Anyways, the scanner will pick up crosstalk, okay? A scanner will come in many shapes or forms, okay? You got to get the best equipment you can for prepping. Now, a lot of you have to look at radio reference. I'll give you radio reference in the live chat. Radio reference will tell you in your area what's going on, okay? So if you go here, you go to the database, you go to browse. This will tell you exactly in the United States where you can get what system you need. All right, mine's analog, so a trunking scanner will work. A non-trunking scanner will work. Everything you're looking for will work. Yes. Now, when it comes to a lot of goodies, you got to realize that you have three types of scanners. Okay, you got your analog. That's your 30C unit in, and I'm not going to say BC because I don't care. But you got your 30C, your 125 AT, and your 75 XLT. Those are your handhelds. Now on the Whistler side, you got the 1010 WS and the WS 1025. Those are your analog systems. Now you can sit there and say, okay, now for a secondary backup system, and I'll tell you the difference between handheld and non-handheld. Okay, so secondly, the handhelds that we're looking at, right? There's a difference. So it goes like this. Handheld versus non-handheld It's simple. That's fine. Did you find out about the other ones if they ordered them?
They're ordered them, but they have not come in.
Yeah, they have volume 2, I hear.
Yeah.
The Ultimate History video games. This is going to be interesting. It's all, as Higgins would say, is there any pictures? There's no pictures.
It's for those who read. There's 2 types of book people. There's people who only get books, look at the pictures. Others, the readers, read. See, a reader doesn't give. The reader doesn't even really care about the pictures. They don't really give an F about the pictures. They want the content to read and to learn. Where the picture people, they don't care about what the book has to say. They just want to look at the pictures.
Let me put it to you this way, okay? So, did you take him yet?
I'm going to now. I'm just going to go out now while I have my boots.
So, let me show you guys something cool, okay? Yeah, well, you know me. I'm into everything, Chloe. So, one of the things I enjoy about role-playing games is Chloe on Father's Day bought me this. Hopefully she gets me a couple more books on Father's Day or even Valentine's Day. She hasn't even bought me a Valentine's present yet, so unless she's got something coming. Anyways, these are like encyclopedias, okay? I'm going to show you this. So this is like an encyclopedia, right? Shows the game, shows the description of the game series. What am I reading anyways? Tenchi no Uta and Cosmic Fantasy. And it shows 1 to 2 screens and the box art, you see? It's basically something I like to read. I could read this all day. It's one of my favorite books. Fortunately for me, I think in some ways, it's got about histories of JRPGs, PCRPs, pictures, etc., etc. Problem is some of these games are hard to get a hold of. So I got a reference book, but the other reference books I'm waiting for are $40 to $60 each. So as a prepper, I always like to see about getting the library. Chloe's like, yeah, pictures, yeah, well. So another thing I want to talk to you about in this is I was doing something, okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, here we go. Radio reference is this. So we talked about the analog scanners, for example. The digital scanners go, oh yeah, don't forget the 15 BC 15X, the Bearcat 15X. The BC 15X is a triple trunking scanner. It's basically a base station scanner that is what my handheld scanner does in the window, okay? Those scanners would not be beneficial unless, quote, unquote, you have electricity. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, if you're going to go with a scanner, what would you get? I would get what you can afford, okay? Now, if you're in an analog area, stock analog. But you also want to go up. So, for example, if you hear your town's going to be upgrading to phase 1 or phase 2, usually it's all phase 2 now. Phase 1's being phased out because there's too many phase 2, and I'll get to phase 2 in a bit. Phase 1, for example, is a Trunk Tracker 4 system, let's just say. It's basically a Trunk Tracker 4. It does triple trunking on analog and digital trunking on one single, but it also runs analog trunking, and or analog or digital trunking 1. So you get 4 trunking systems, Trunk Tracker 4, everything you need in a little package, and it runs on a digital thing. You can say, oh, well, what if the radios don't work? Trust me, they'll be talking. A basic analog scanner will pick up all ham radios. Ham traffic will be abundant, okay? In a pandemic or a SHT situation, the ham radio, you can own a ham radio, you can listen to the ham radio, but in a situation where For example, Higgins has a ham radio. He'd be like, breaker, my name's Higgins. Not even using a code because he's panicked, right? At that point, Higgins would probably think the government's not going to come after him because, frankly, we don't know what happened to the government. They could be in a bunker waiting for this to die out. Or he might get some FCC official in an FCC bunker telling him when he finds out where he's at, he's going to go after Higgins, But for the time being, another thing that you got to look into, and I was going to talk to Higgins about this on the phone, is in case of nuclear war, I think all rules don't apply. Okay, now there's going to be bloodshed. There's going to be people fighting for food, but the main thing is your food and water. Now, if you got a ham radio in your house, emergency, and you have a CB radio system, and you have a GMRS radio system, you're completely wired into the world. The problem is, will anything happen if a nuclear war happens? With Putin threatening, you got to ask yourself the logical question, which is why, right? Now, another thing is, and I'm not poking fun at Higgins. No, if I want to swat at Higgins, I will. I'm a polar bear. Higgins, of course, is a honey badger. Yeah, so now we're not here to basically talk about Higgins. No. What we're talking about is nuclear war, right? So you got potassium iodide, your food, and your water. A lot of people have been asking about, that's Higgins. Higgins is a fucking turtle. He's a honey badger turtle. Me, I eat turtles for breakfast. Matter of fact, I used to have a couple pet turtles. One escaped and died, I think, without water or something. Yeah, but I love those turtles. You get a nice tank, see them just. Oh yeah, those are some great times, But you know what? I think the rabbit helps me a lot. So, Higgins, knock it off. Let's get down to business, okay? So a lot of people have asked, what are you going to do if you have no way of lights, okay? That's where the lanterns come in. The lanterns come in. Now, let me tell you a couple problems of nuclear war, all right? If nuclear war happens and each country nukes, there ain't going to be electricity. So whatever you have in your freezer is going to go bad. Okay, now if you're in a bunker or you're in a basement unit or whatever and you can survive, the main thing you're going to be not worried about is cooking, all right? Cooking is the least of your worries. You can eat a can of cold beans and it'll be fine. You can eat a can of cold chili. The problem is without power, you can't power your computers, you can't power your TVs, you can't power your ham radios unless you have a Baofeng. That's why you basically make sure. And then even if you get a set of Baofangs, which I got to talk to Higgins about, ordering some Baofangs for emergencies. The next problem is, by the way, I got to tell you guys a joke, okay? Higgins is always ranting and raving about how great his little Baofangs are. So the other day I was talking to this lady, ferry worker. I said, hey, can I actually listen into your guys' conversation? Apparently their subgroups are on ham frequency. So she's like, oh, yeah. So she gives me the info. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Bless you. Bless you. Mm-hmm. And it's like a ferry marine band, right? That's encrypted under the P2 trunking system, or something, something to that effect. I mean, she can listen. I don't know. I think it's analog because, they say the P2 trunking system, So the funny story goes is, this lady's got a 6-pack of Baofangs. And I said, oh, so you don't get in trouble for using the ham radio part. She said, no, I'm authorized because I'm with the ferry service. Mm-hmm. He's always saying that his Baofeng is the greatest radio in the world. Chinese piece of junk. See, I got to basically poke fun at him. Bear swatting him. See, we're having a little fun here. Now, truthfully, Baofangs will come in handy for radio communications if the SHT and there's no FCC around. You may probably use it without a code, but I don't know. But for the sake of the argument, a lot of you are worried about cooking. How do you cook food? How do you prep food? Do you prep food? Do you not prep food? That is the questions you must ask. How are you going to prep? If you sealed your vent off and you sealed your bathroom vents off, how are you going to ventilate? You're not going to open your window to ventilate because first, you're supposed to stay in a place for at least a week. Meanwhile, while you're doing this, this is where the batteries come in, okay? Now, let me tell you, there's three ways of running in case of nuclear war, okay? One is, or if it's the after effects, one is the jackeries, okay? You break the jackery out to fully charged. You charge your phone up, okay? But at that point of the game, okay, if a nuclear war happened and when nuclear radiation happened, the question is, okay, I want to tell you something, okay? And what does he say? Right? You got to ask yourself, are you going to invest in a jackery, okay? Yeah, I'm just having some fun here, Higgins. You know, you're always ranting about how great your little bow fang is. Chinese piece of junk. Have a little fun, Higgins. All right? It's a little fun. Then you do your chores.
Yeah.
Now, let me finish what I'm saying, people, because this is important. Because Chloe doesn't like pay attention anyway. So the point is if a nuclear war happens, you got to think quickly. All right? 15 minutes. You got to seal your vents up. You got to make drills to make sure you do some nuclear drills. Make sure your vents are sealed. Your doors are sealed. You have no cracks in it. And you seal up everything you can. And you disable your carbon monoxide detector so it doesn't go off because of your breath, right? Yeah, the bow fang, Jackery to charge my... No. That's the point I'm making. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Higgins because here's the problem, okay? With a jackery, okay? You have two options with a jackery. You get enough jackery stacked up and you plug it into the wall. You can charge it, and then when the power goes off, you can buy... There's a little jackery kit where it comes with a little post, and you hang a little light bulb above it, right? And then that will keep your room lit. That's it, the jackery. But you got to remember, without charging it, you're screwed. So you have to limit the first 2 to 3 weeks or longer to reserving your power to important things. Now, for example, say the after effects of a nuclear disaster happens, okay? First of all, do you think the phone system's going to be working? You think Higgins be, hey, Mom, hold on. Hey, Mom, how are you today? What? Hey, Dad, what's going on? Hey, family, I'm great. Phone's going to be not working. Towers are going to be down. It could be EMPs. Now, say that the phone system is down, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, I can't get through to anyone, right? Well, you're screwed. You're screwed like everyone else, right? Towers are down. Towers are relaying things, right? What do? You don't. And sorry, Higgins, I use it as an example, but then he said he's got a jacker and he plugs in his bow fang. Oh, hey, Mom, how are you today? Right? You got to ask yourself, are you going to be wasting your jackery battery while you're in your home, either charging your phone, which won't work? At that point, I would just put it into the pile of stuff that I wouldn't use. Would you use the jackery to charge your switch up every 3 hours? Yeah, if you had a whole basement of jackeries. Smart ass. Higgins is a smart ass. Unlikely. Because their entire country is going to be in ruin. They won't be billing you anything. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you have a solar generator, what are you going to use it for? You have to ask yourself. If you're buying a solar generator and a smaller solar generator and all this stuff, you got to ask yourself, what will you use it for? Remember, school's still in session, kids. You don't waste your generator power that you need on a light bulb. Okay, what you do is you buy cases and cases of batteries. You buy 48-pack box of batteries and you stock it away. You use it when you need it. You use your lanterns. You use it for other lanterns. You use it for your everything else in between. Hell, you can invest in a $270 world band radio and you can listen to world band. Now you say, oh, well, if the radio signals are there, world band's like a ham radio receiver that can pick up radio from around the world. That's why it's called world band. But or a short wave. But for you guys, a lot of you buy these short waves nowadays with rechargeable batteries. Thing is, you need to get a unit that takes AA batteries. Then you don't have to worry. Just slap in new batteries and keep it going until they tell you the area is clear enough for you to go out for an hour at a time. And then they tell you 2 hours at a time. Slowly try to get your life back together. The problem with the nuclear thing is when it hits, you're going to lose power. You're going to see your water contaminated. Now, we're on an island. I don't know what's going to happen, okay, honestly. The winds can travel. The winds couldn't travel. Chernobyl basically sent things all the way 500 miles up to Belarus when Chernobyl blew, pretty much, and went north or northwest or whatever, and went into Belarus. So think of Chernobyl if you ever see that one. So thing is, you got to ask yourself, when you're buying some electronics, you need the minimum basics to get by. You don't need a fancy schmancy $300 radio. You could probably get away with a scanner, and as long as your scanner is within 60-mile range or more, it could probably pick up ham radio talking all over. So your ham radio listening would be fine. You get all your news that way. You wouldn't have to worry. At least you'd hear people. Fortunately for the rest of you, if this happens, you would not be able to go outside. Now, the other thing is you got to ask yourself, the radiation is traveling in the wind. Will it contaminate your groundwater? Maybe. The main thing is if you got your vents sealed and you're holed up in your home, the only thing you got to worry about is if you're on a sewage system and or a sewage treatment plant. Higgins is like, oh, yeah, I am. You might want to look out for mice or rats coming out of your toilet, basically, even snakes maybe, or even a mini alligator. See, thing is, you got to ask yourself, if they know something's wrong, they might try to find the nearest hole. So you might be infested with rats because they're coming out of the toilets, Look, Higgins. See, let me explain something about you guys, okay? Higgins doesn't know anything about radios. All right, I do. I've done probably close to 1,500 hours of radios, okay? Now, let me tell you a secret about radios, people. When and if a natural disaster happens, like nuclear war, even Magic Mike said this, they're already on the airwaves trying to get the news to everyone that will listen through the ham frequencies. But most people don't own a ham radio. That's where the amateur band comes in on a scanner. As long as you have the amateur band scanning, you could pick up everything you can. Let me tell you a little secret about Higgins, okay? Higgins went out and bought a unit in BCN 355N. All right, he sent it back. It didn't work, right? I forgot to tell him that it would work in an emergency where he could just push the amateur band on it and it would pick up straight amateur band. Well, he could just push it and be like, scan through the AM bands, and when AM band hits, it'll basically be talking. It might be a pain in the butt to program, but most scanners have that ability too. So, for example, let me show you guys something. See if I can do it without freezing my computer up, okay? I'm going to show you some scanners real quick so you can see what's going on, all right? All right. All right, so let me tell you a couple things. I'm finishing up here. Give me a second. I'm opening up some scanner radios, okay? And when I'm done, I'll show you what I'm doing, okay? All right, so I'll show you. Every scanner you have has a scanning feature, which means, for example, I'm just doing it not with 200%, okay? You see, here we go, Chrome tab. For example, this one has right here, right? This is a Whistler, right? It has a search feature. It says right there ham, so it's got a ham button right there. Ham and other issues, air, and so forth. So if you look at that button there, you just push the ham button, it'll pull up ham. So if your power goes out, you can't use it, but the point I'm making is if you look at all of these, right? So, for example, you buy this one. This one takes batteries, but this also has a alarm clock built in. Higgins and I was talking about this, right? So this one here has a scan feature. So you can get weather scan, FM radio, alarm clock, and a service search. Service search will find you. The service search will find you right there. Service search will find you the ham bands are analog, but you got to remember this doesn't run on if this is on AC, you need batteries. So that's why I recommend for a prepper, one of your best tools for nuclear war is something like this. Higgins bought one of these, right? So what happened was, and I'll show you this. I got to close out tabs as I go because I just want to speed this up. Is this one here literally has private, that's for your private banks. So you got fire department, police department, emergency, air, marine, right? And then down here you got CB, right? So if you look at it, and it's got tracking, right? It says band, air, marine, private. So, and it's got a CB band, but it doesn't have an amateur band. So basically this one here would not work for Higgins. So you see it doesn't show AM, so this does everything but amateur band. So then what do you buy? I'm trying to find something real quick for you guys. I'll just do it this way. What the hell? Putting them in order. So this one here, right, might be your 300. It might be 300 channel, but this channel here literally has 10 banks, close call, aviation, marine, railroad, NASCAR, public safety. So if you look at this, right, I don't know if they show pictures of it or whatever, but this will cover everything from such and such, right? So it's got a service search, and then the service search will show you things like amateur radio, right? So it's got 32,000 frequencies. It's handheld, which means you can take it with you. Takes 2 AA batteries, which is really good if you can, like 8 hours at a time, supposedly. It says right there, you have amateur radio service, AM, which ARS, which is your ham bands, and that would work for only $100. So for $100, you can have that, and you could use that for all your needs for under $100. Now, if you want something a little better, Higgins is always talking about getting the for handheld mode, the AT125, because it has alpha tagging, right? This is 500 channels instead of 300, but if you look at it, it's over 40,000 frequencies. Again, it says amateur radio services. So, service search, you could grab it, use it, take it, and listen to anything during a nuclear war. Prepping is very important, and the best course of action would be this one. Now, I will show you some base station scanners in a minute, but I'm explaining to you the reason why handhelds would come in handy for nuclear, because you can use batteries. That's the only reason. Now, this one here is 500 channel scanner. It has 32,000 frequencies. Again, you can use ham radio. This time it says ham radio. It doesn't say amateur radio service, says ham radio. This one is 113. I think the AT was, I don't remember what the AT is, but you get the idea. Now, this one is a base station. Now, if you mount it in your car and you're moving around the United States after the fallout, you're a moron, because you'd be radiated. But for the sake of the argument, the unit in Bearcat 15X would be the perfect scanner. That has a Trunk Tracker 3. This is one of those that I would buy for your home and keep it on all times and use your handheld for handheld mode only, which means if the power goes out, you can go to your circuit breaker and turn off the breaker so you don't have a surge in your electronics, and you can actually, use it. And that's what it was. This has the difference between a triple trunking and a regular analog conventional is the analog goes up to like 512 megahertz, whereas this one goes to 1300. So anything that's more money is, and it works really well. So the next one on the list is the 325P2. Now, the 325 is a phase 2 trunking scanner. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to move a couple around on here real quick so we can finish up here. All right, so now for some of you out there, you're wondering about a couple scanners. I'm missing a couple. I'll get them in a minute. The last two, okay? For example, this one here is a conventional analog scanner. 300 channels. If you look at the pictures, it has everything. Ham radio, programming, fire, EMS, emergency. It's all programmed with those little switches. So you don't even have to do it. So in case of an emergency, you could use it with no problem. 200 channel. The difference is when you look at it, it also comes with a power box. So basically, you get weather alerts, everything else, and it comes in handy for the reason I tell you already. So this one here is perfect for everyday use, for travels, etc. And it's only $79. So this would be the ultimate prepper, I would think, because it has everything in it, and it can still do ham radio. So the next one on the list we get into is different. This one's a little more money, and the reason for it is this one is analog. This is the one I told you about. That is Trunk Tracker 4, which means if your area is phase 1, it'll tell you phase 1 or phase 2. Phase 1 trunking is still in places, which means you can use analog and trunking. This one is approximately more money, but the problem with these fancier ones is they're harder to program. Higgins would say, oh, well, just use a program. These ones usually require a program you pay for. The problem also is if you look at this button, right, you have the scan, you have the man, you have the tune, you have everything. I wouldn't recommend this unless you know how to program it, because if you'll notice, there's not many buttons on there. There's F1, F2, and F3. Unless you read the manual, I wouldn't recommend going with the 1040 or those, because they're not the conventional ones were designed to just push a button and roll on your way. So the next one is an interesting one. Again, is the WS 1065. You can do it. Yes, I can. Thank you, Higgins. Thank you. This one here again is a pain in the ass to program, but if you look at it, do you see anywhere where it says F1, F2, S3 or anything about channels? No, it doesn't. It just shows your keypad. It shows some numbers. That is one of those ones that's more complicated. They made it complicated, and for less than $300, you can get one that's a phase 1, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would go with phase 2 that also picks up phase 1. But thing is, you got to ask yourself, if there's no service search, which they don't have a service search here. They have a search, but they don't have a service search. They just have a scan. So the next one is a phase 2 handheld scanner. It's on the same chassis or box as the AT125. This one here has a service search. This is phase 2, which means P2 is phase 2. So this will pick up everything phase 2, phase 1. It's also a trunk tracker 5, and it also is analog and digital. So I would skip the whistlers together and just go with phase 2. Now, this one would be your best bet for most people. Now, I know what you're thinking. The main thing is a nuclear war. You need something let's just say nuclear war happens. Your best bet is a phase 2. I even told Higgins phase 2 would come in handy just for the ham radios alone. The other search features is different. He's got simulcast, so but you got to also ask. Power goes out, grid goes out, things happen. And so the phase 2, in my opinion, would be perfect for that. And it's affordable. It's $333. The next one on the list I would keep as a base station, if you just want digital across the board, is this one. This does everything. It also has a service search. It also connects to GPS, and this would work nicely with your other stuff. And so it works nicely. And I highly recommend it for $360, and it's shipped by Amazon. Anything shipped by Amazon is pretty good. The next idea is this one, which is a phase 2 trunking scanner. That also gets NDX and a DMR for free. The only difference is the front face is removed. You see right there. Now, if you look at it, they did this for mostly easy mount in your car. So your memory card's here. And again, you have WX menu, etc., etc. So this will pull up anything you need, and it's easy peasy to use. I, for one, think it's pretty cool. So it's all up to you what you want to do with your. And at $529, I would be tempted, because it looks really nice, and it will come in handy in a radio room I'm going to build eventually. So the last 2 scanners, before I get the last two scanners, is this one. Now, this one everyone recommends, but as Higgins and I have talked about for probably hours on end, the 100 has a problem with a proprietary battery. The problem is if you look at the picture somewhere here, the battery is way too big. And if Uniden discontinued it, you'd have a hell of a time getting batteries for it, because the thing is, it's using a bulky proprietary battery. It's not a AA batteries. The ones before that, the 325P2, 30C, the 125AT, the 1010WS, they all take batteries. Fortunately, like I said, these ones have zip code only, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, the last one is the one I keep telling Higgins to invest in, but it might be, what's the red button? Yeah, what is the red button? Yes, And then finally this one. This one is a really good model, apparently. It's really good. Unfortunately, you got display record zip services that just pulls up everything in your area. This is the ultimate base station if you're going to be using this for home and only home. I wouldn't mount it in your car. Okay, you could, but it looked too big. The main problem with this is it only works for simulcast. So if you're in an area of simulcast, like Higgins' old boy, he has to pay the $700 to do it. So, he has a choice. Now with him, I would literally switch out getting anything that's basically digital for himself currently, and I would go with a basic analog handheld scanner and keep it in his prepping kit, because the power goes out and the nuclear bombs go off, you're better off listening to ham frequencies to know what's going on in your area. Now, you can invest in a ham radio, but you have to have a ham radio and an antenna to reach far enough out. So that's the other thing. So then finally, there's two others I want to share with you. Two others. And it goes like this. So it goes like this. This one here is the BCD 436 HP analog and digital trunking scanner, Trunk Tracker 5. It has everything you need in it, and it's an advanced scanner, but it also will pick up everything. So basically, so if I were investing in a scanner, I would buy a magnetic antenna, which I should pay Higgins some money one of these days again, and have him look up and find out if the 3-foot antennas would work in the window for receiving further than what it does, And so currently the scanner is pretty good, So this is shipped by Amazon, but it's highly, highly recommended. Now, I would get any scanner that actually has scan search features already on Service Search. I believe this one has zip search, so it'll just pull it up anyways, So, and searches are there 3. So, and finally, this one. This one is pretty damn good. This one is a database scanner. Again, it has everything you need in it. Oops, and if you have an outside antenna connected to a radio inside, actually, that's a good question, Higgins. Yeah, he makes a good question there. It could, because the electromagnetic pulse. It could also, couldn't electronic magnetic pulse, if you're in an area where you're in a city center, wouldn't it blow out the windows too, the EMP? Or would it just zap everything that you own, you see? So finally, this one here is what's left. And this is right there. So if you see it, which reminds me, you see, this has everything you need plus some. And I chose something like this for the fact that I don't want something bigger, because something bigger might not always be better. Plus the fact that something like this looks really good. And I like how it's database. A little pricey, I know, but for $489, can't complain. So, let me check what Higgins emailed me. So apparently my got an email saying in 2 days they're doing maintenance. Serious? Okay. Well, I'm looking to do somehow a PDF everyone. But anyways, so that is one of your best tools you can use in case nuclear war. Same goes with a a shortwave radio. You know, I should actually have Higgins look up that too. Give him the job of looking into shortwave radios. Now, we tried looking into portable TVs that use batteries, but again, you got to ask yourself, the question is, if the shortwave radio, and we don't know, I also think the blast would only be affected by the area it's blasted. Now, if it's just pure radiation, Higgins, out in the boondocks, I don't think it'll affect anything to do with your antennas. Only if you're in a blast area or the blast area is near your antennas, how I think it would zap it out. You know, but it has to be very close. Now, so then, you know, you got to make sure that once you are sealed up inside, you make sure you have everything you need for your pets, everything you need to do this. And then on top of that, you also got to make sure you're not outside when the blast happens. And then the next problem you have is your water. Now, say you're far enough away from the blast zone, 100 miles like me, right? 90 miles to Seattle, or 100 and whatever miles, 50, 60 miles from Bremerton, right? Whatever it is. Then you got to ask yourself, or whatever, okay? Then you got to ask yourself, is your water contaminated? Me and Higgins has to look into finding a way to test your water. Contaminated water will still be contaminated even if you have a filter because it's radiation, radioactivity. So your best bet is to not touch the water. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, what do you do about baths? Go stinking for a while until the water level is available. You can't basically take a bath with the radiation there. You can't. Now, that's something that's very important. You know, you have to drink water, so you drink it out of a bottle. Your water is not contaminated. The other thing is you don't turn the sink on because that can contaminate. The other thing is you got to ask yourself also, is do you have the tools needed and the security to actually seal up your sinks? Now, I got 2 sinks. Just, right? Seal it up. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Same with the tub, right? Tub drain. What's left? Oh, which reminds me, I got to check out something. The difference between a nuclear war and a banking collapse goes like this. The banking collapse, at least you'll have some communications as long as your power is still in there. But with a nuclear war, you got to take into account that you might not have any electricity. And you have to take into account. What the hell is that? What was that, Mom? Then you have to take into account the pros and nuclear versus banking collapse. They'll reset the banks. You might not lose power. You'll still have to prep. But in nuclear, you have to use all your skills to survive in one place for a long time, whether you like your neighbors or if you don't like your neighbor. So there you have it, And then when it comes to nuclear, you also have to account for, like I said, your sinks and your toilet. Now, what the hell? What the hell is that? Oh. Oh, damn it. Now can I get back to work? Okay. So basically, you need to stock food, water, and prepare for the worst. You might survive, you might not, but it's best to. Yes, Higgins, we know you moved your water jugs to your room, your basement, but we're not talking about. You see, let me tell you a story about water, okay? Unless water is completely sealed in a bottle, not touched, eventually water can go bad if you drain it, draw it from the tap, or you draw it from a hose, because as the water sits, it goes stagnant. That's where you need a water filtration system to filter out the stagnant, because that type of water that just sits, even in a basement, could make you sick. So you need a water filtration system to filter it. And they sell several for a couple from $50 up to $300-400. It just depends on what you need. But the point is, as a prepper, it doesn't matter. We're talking about he's missing the point here, people. Let me tell you again. When a nuclear war or a bomb happens and you're in the vicinity or even near the radiation area, what you do is you don't turn your water off right away. You can, which is a good idea. He says, awesome. What I said is the drains. He wasn't paying attention. Clean the wax out of your ears, old boy. Radiation can come through your pipes. Your pipes connect up to a septic treatment plant or that. So your pipes go through the ground. Your ground goes to the sewage treatment plant. Say you're in an area like Chicago, Lansing, Michigan, somewhere in California where Pee Wee is, right? Myself, all of my moderators in each area got nuked. Let's just say I'm on an island, so they leave it alone. But let's just say, first of all, you got to worry about the septic system. Second is you got to worry about the fresh water coming to you. Third is you got to worry about your pipes and your sinks. Now, let's just say Lansing and Detroit and Ann Arbor and other places get nuked. You got to worry about your pipes, your water, anything that has in the area of the radiation, you must seal off. It's not just turn your water off and be like, oh, yeah, I'm not using my toilet. I'm going to piss in this bucket. You'll be really unhappy you're pissing in a bucket. But my point is, think of it this. Radiation's in the area. How's it coming in? Your hood vent. your sink drains. Because even though the pipes are connected up and it's in the ground can be contaminated. Let's just say a nuclear blast blew a hole, cracking some of the pipes in the city. It might just come all the way to into your house without you knowing. So you need to know what to do. That's why I'm saying look at the other idea. Yes, but I also said radiation can get inside the damn house by through the air vents. Air vents. Another thing you need to think about, people. See, I'm actually talking to you guys about something serious here. If you have one of those wall-mounted air conditioners, you're gonna leave it sitting there while you're in your house. Radiation will just go straight into the filter of the air conditioner, past the um the styrofoam inside, and go straight into your house. So your house will be vulnerable. Think about it. People need to know these things. These are things you need to learn and educate yourself on because it ain't going to be easy. Now, your best bet is if you live in an area that's being targeted to leave early. Flat out right move. Otherwise, that's how it works. Hmm. I don't get it. It's saying I got an email, but it's saying I don't have new email. Oh, that's why. There you go. There. Look, we already got poop pads available, okay? See, Higgins is basically being a complete dumbass tonight. No offense to my moderator, Big Brother, but he's being a dumbass. He knows how to use a potty pad in an emergency situation. He's highly trained. You say potty pad, he goes on it. Fortunately for us, that's how we do things, okay? We have potty pads. That's another prepper's tool you guys need to know to keep your dogs happy and safe. Bun, all you got to do is take a garbage can, allocate a special can like that, seal it, and lock it, and leave the two turds in there, and just keep filling rabbit turds up until it fills. And then when they say safe is clear to move it, you move it out and dump it in the dumpster. However, that's the other thing. In a nuclear war, a lot of places people might evacuate to the mainland, like where I live, and if something happens, you might not have garbage service for a long while. So you got to take that into account. What are you going to do with your garbage, huh? Another thing is once the air, a lot of people sit there and they own homes, right? Has anyone ever thought about what you're going to do if you have a fireplace or wood stove? Radiation just go down the pipe and into your wood stove or your pellet stove or your fireplace, even if you have a fireplace insert, So think about all of this, what's going on. Think about it. Think about what I gave you to chew on, because frankly, this is what's going to come down the pipe. And I don't like it as much as you guys don't like it either, but you got to take into account of what's going on. So, I mean, I've gone on for an hour. It's time for me to disappear. Yeah, I was hoping for a new watch. That's the other thing. Some of you guys need to look at buying a watch that is analog or digital, but more likely analog with a little battery in it that works, because it might tell time better than anything. I'm actually checking on a watch now. I remember looking for a watch the other day and I couldn't get it. And I was telling my sister, I want watch. Oh, yeah, here it is. See? Here's the watch I want. Hello, my name's Higgins. I'm Higgins. I'm Higgins. Oh, here we go. This is perfect for me. I hate Zoe's. No, just joking. I was doing jokey Smurf. Oh, look at this. This is perfect right there. I just wish they had in a pocket watch because I always wanted one of those pocket watches. Problem is they don't have one like that. There we go. That's why my husband used to say I'm grumpy. Grumpy, 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 grumpy. Grumpy. There's a Donald, grouchy Donald. I want a Donald Duck pocket watch, but they don't make them. You're looking for one, you can't find it. But anyways, a watch would come in handy to know your times, or because you can't look out your window due to the fact that yeah. I want a Donald Duck. I've always wanted a Donald Duck pocket watch where you open it and Donald Duck's like, I love Donald Duck. He's just so funny. Donald Duck birthday watch. That's cool. Donald Duck. See, I want a Donald Duck and a Donald Duck watchy, where you look at one and it looks really nice. But, trying to find one's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So that's why I was telling, little Higbob about some. Oh, look at this limited edition choo choo watch. I want to see the choo choo watch. Everybody aboard the choo choo train, choo choo train, choo choo. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this. No, that ain't bad looking watch. Where is it coming from? Spelled shop, so I assume it's from England or something. Or where is it coming from? Does it even say that? Estimated in Bozeman. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Bozeman, Montana. I can see myself in this. I don't like that one. That Bozeman one looks really good. Ooh. I don't like that one. That one's like the Bozeman one's like, oh, here we go. The original Donald Duck before they redid him. That's cool. It's not my cup of tea though, because I just don't like the design of it. This one looks cool. Oh yeah, that's the one I don't like because of the front says something. And then finally this one. I think that $20 one would look really good in my opinion. One up here from Bozeman, Montana. There's just something about Donald Duck. I don't know. I just love Donald Duck. Yeah. Yep. It's in Bozeman. I've always wanted to get a new watch. This one's in pocket. Oh yeah, this is the Bozeman one. Yes. No, I don't like that one. That's in Bozeman too. This one I do. Where's this guy at? Maryland. I'll choose the Bozeman one. Yep. And then finally, what am I looking for? One other thing. I want McDuck. So he's always saying me I'm like Scrooge. DuckTales, woo. So I'm always looking for watch. Let me see here. Is there any watches here? There we go. That's the one I want. right there. $395. You know, but you got to ask yourself, nuclear war happens, you're going to think you're going to use it there? Talking bank clock, that'd be cool. Another dollar, another gold SARS. Yeah, so anyways, you guys at nuclear war need to basically look at it, you know, and ask yourself, what to do, because frankly, we all need to realize that it could happen. DuckTales, woo! Do 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 DuckTales, woo! I love watching that. Look behind you, there's a stranger out there behind you. Yeah, there we go. That one's perfect. Of course, problem with a watch like this is how to read the time. You know, that one's cool. Scrooge McDuck talking bank. Takes a battery. I'd like to know more about this. And then finally, this one. Is this one I was looking at? Yes. Does this one have what I'm looking for? Nope, because it's got the dollar sign, but unless you know what you're looking for, it doesn't show. Yeah. I do. There you go. Found something. So, anyways, like I said, let's see. Higgs says something. What'd you say, Hig, old boy? You know, it's saying turn on and Mobby is in a pickle, not knowing. I was wondering what was in the status of the reporting Putin warships that was sailing across the ocean. I heard rumors to that effect too, Higgins. I mean, honestly, I have no clue. We got to just be, the thing is, if they're out there, the U.S. would have posted something about it. So I don't know. All I know is the United States, is I don't know what's going on, but it's an interesting concept. So for the rest of you out there, like I said, for you preppers out there, you need to keep on prepping because frankly, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, this is why, Higgins basically had me watch that video today because of it, and that video is really scary. Hmm. Great, more emails. Let me check something. So basically, I got an email that might just come in handy for Higgins. Let me look at this. My email Higgins this. All right, let me look at this. I wonder how much you're going to charge me for it, too. Higgins is like, oh, yeah, I'll buy it. I need to buy it. Ooh, there you go. Let's send this to Higgins. Let me just see what it is. See if Higgins will do this. It's a good deal for Higgins. I bet Higgins would do this. Let me email him to see what he does. He's a prepper too, so he might just go and invest a few dollars for this company. He's like, here we go. Send this to Higgins. He'll probably tell me, please deposit 50 cents. Water your flower. Yeah, you son of a bitch. I know that one. I showed a friend of mine it. They made themselves laugh their pants off. I think they pissed themselves too, but anyways, I just sent you something that might be of an interest to you. So they got refried beans, egg noodle pasta, honey, freeze-dried beefa. Okay. So, for the rest of you out there, I don't have much else to say today due to the fact, I know what I was going to do. Due to the fact that we're running out of information at this time. But, you got to look at some of these options I spoke to you about nuclear war, because if it happens, you better be prepared. Plan carefully and go from there. So, there you have it. Anyways, let me see. So apparently Tildor posted just a little bit ago, people. This is something I'm going to tell you guys, the same bloody thing. He says, okay, peeps, it's time to quit pussyfooting around. I've been saying that for a while now. I don't want to have to force feed you shitbirds dirt and grass while I'm eating a T-bone. Well, sorry to say, but I just got another stockpile of T-bone in. So while you shitbirds are eating dirt and grass, I'm enjoying T-bones. By the way, Higgins wants to eat something else. See, I got some T-bones right here, and I got more T-bones in the freezer. Look at these T-bones. Yum, yum. So I got more T-bones in that freezer. So while I'm enjoying T-bones, you guys need to move your ass like you got a pair. Let me see what he says. Get your ass out of second gear and prep like you have a pair. School is in session. Ding, ding, ding. Well, I'm the teacher. I think Tildor is trying to make himself to be the teacher's pet, but that's not true because Zoe's the teacher's pet. I'll tell you a secret, everyone, that's cheaper than melatonin. And Higgins might not like it, but you keep stuff like this on hand. Nighttime cold and flu. Which reminds me to rotate it out. Yep, we're good. Yep. Basically, this stuff works. It doesn't expire. So what you do with it is you take that if you need to sleep. Fortunately, with the nuclear thing, I'd be running around doing some other stuff, Yeah, well, got to think about it, Higgins. For some of you out there, Higgins is right about a couple things. One is, what do you do in case of a nuclear disaster? Do you lay in bed and be like, literally, if a nuclear disaster happens and you have no power, you're going to have to plan your things carefully. You're going to also have to plan other things. With no power, which means you're going to have backups like sleeping bags and extra blankets and everything else, But to make things interesting for you all tonight, I might do one more video after I talk to someone on Discord, and I'm hoping to get in touch with Higgins because we got some business to discuss about projects and payment. So I need to get off here to get my business done with Higgins and Chloe wants to clean. So while I'm on the phone, Chloe can clean. I can also do some other stuff. I've been prepping all day, working and ordering and working and ordering. And there's not much more I can order right now unless it is for a good cause. So he might be right. And if melatonin's available, he should send me a link. But anyways, for some of you out there, I don't want to tie up here too long. It's already gone too long, but because of the scanner talk. But, I'm going to put together a discussion soon about world band radios with Higgins' help, of course. Also, for some of you out there, you need to know, never neglect your pets. Like him. Hi, Boon Boon. So, you know, I'll let Higgins email me when he's ready for me to call him. Otherwise, everyone, I will do another video later. And by the way, Higgins, you keep saying I keep slipping in videos. I do it while you're still sleeping, man, so I can get 5, 10, 15-minute videos done, and then I can off to prepping. Or I do other things early in the morning, like drink my morning coffee while I'm sitting there acting like a zombie, thinking about what the hell. So, in the meantime, I need to stay. I got to get up and move around the cabin. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Please add and subscribe. Please post comments, leave feedback, suggestion. Hit like, subscribe button. It's wholesome fun for your family, including your dogs, cats, your bunnies, your service dogs, your service bunnies. Hit the bell notification, the thumbs up button, the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or concerns, please email me. My About Me page is in my YouTube channel. If you want to donate, you can donate at the Airy Sky donation channel, or you can send me a gift card if you think my content's good or bad. Or you can just email me and tell me my content's crappy. I don't mind hearing from people. I hear from people all the time. Some good, some bad, some indifferent. All right, Everett. School's out of session. Stay tuned for another video. God bless you and everything you do. And just keep the comments nice is all I ask.